Hello, I'm Dr. Karen Huffer. I'm here at the invitation of Indy and Sylvia, and I'm so glad to be here, very honored. I'm proud of the work you're doing and pleased to be a part of any of it that I can be. I'm a teacher and a marriage and family therapist, and I've spent the last 30 years studying how people interact with our systems of care. And I've found that we have a public health crisis. Initially, I was motivated because I saw the damage to public health by the actions of systems that are legally in place to serve the public. I saw children sitting by the wayside, often sent home from school when it was clear that they had a solvable problem. I witnessed successful adults brought to their knees by the courts that ruled unfairly, ignoring the struggles of persons with disabilities and those who could not afford lawyers. I saw families and have their conflicts worsened when during divorce they turned to the courts and the court-appointed systems for help. Nothing was illegal, it was just wrong, and it was dangerous. Consistently, these people suffered from stress to the point of diagnosable conditions, from anxiety and depression to post-traumatic stress disorder. Indy gave me 5 points that I appreciate that I will address. The first one is, how did I discover the idea of legal abuse syndrome? We'll call it LAS. I coined the term because human beings suffered symptoms of traumatic stress, not from earthquakes, not from accidents, but triggered by their interactions with legally instituted, powerful institutions, our systems of care, like schools, courts of law, bureaucracies, and enforcement agencies. I was shocked that our systems of care, even hospitals, forced vaccinations, discharged patients too soon. All are a public health menace if abuse of power exists. Whenever there is power differential, the person can be forced. Judges can jail on a whim. Educational systems can set guidelines that are rigid and irrational, such as refusing to use the most current technology, take online courses, solve problems, staying with old traditions, and losing their ethical compass, degrading the quality of life for the vulnerable. Most importantly, LAS is preventable. Therefore, for me not to address it would have been unethical and frankly unbearable to me. I began to research, write, speak, and put papers out for peer review. After a 10-year longitudinal study, the health consequences of legal abuses was validated. Something had to be done, so I began to design treatment protocols to help persons to not succumb to the constellation of symptoms of trauma, even PTSD when under extreme stress. It became clear that the recipe or formula for developing PTSD is to feel in jeopardy and helpless at the same time. My focus is to develop and teach methods for preserving health under stress. Number 2, I wonder what we can show you that gives us an idea we're on the right track. The United States did not complete the signing of the UN Treaty for Disability as most countries did. However, our Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act Amendments Act in 2008. The first ADAA had been passed in 1990 but was ignored in many cases, and those in power fought it in other cases. We worked hard to get the legislature to overturn Supreme Court decisions, resulting in a powerful civil rights law for all persons with disabilities, which we have today. And that includes those with invisible disabilities. That is what we work under now. The Americans with Disabilities Act is a good model as a law but still needs advocates, real people, to assist those with disabilities to enforce it. A law, a policy, a resolution must back our efforts. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the concept of reasonable accommodations is a good place to start. Most countries signed the UN Treaty. Lawyers who study with us report that our course on disability advocacy changes their practices for the better. Law schools teach nothing about disability rights in the U.S., thus lawyers tend to avoid it in their practices. We're working on that through our training. Due to Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and some accompanying laws, in the United States, school must now keep all children in school and provide them reasonable accommodations up to age 26. All children must be provided a free and public education. They used to be excluded for behaviors that were nothing more than symptoms. Symptoms now have to be accommodated. They are never to be used as a cause for them to be punished or rejected. Also, we are training ADAAA advocates to help persons with disabilities enforce their rights and receive the protection they are guaranteed by federal law. It is a mandate, not just a law. It is a federal mandate. The judges must follow it. We have about 160 trained advocates so far, but we need many, many more. A person sometimes needs another person right with them to advocate for them in order to function, especially under extreme stress. We find also that our presence is a legal game changer in the courtroom and at schools and at businesses. When we enter the picture with a person who is having a problem in those forums and we bring up the idea of accommodating them reasonably, things change. Many, many abusive situations grew because those in power didn't know the law. We educate them now, and we demand that the process is made fair for our clients. Another thing Indy mentioned, what did I know about your home-sitting children? What did I understand about it and their state of mind and their stress levels for the children as well as the parents when intimidated by the local government? The one thing I know about all people is the worst punishment for a human being is to be shunned. These children live with a sense of undeserved shame. They may have a disability. Some may be immigrants who are new to a culture. All people need attention to sort out their stresses, symptoms, and needs. They must be accommodated and included, opening their eyes and their hearts to their positive futures. One of our protocols we use in the healing protocols that I developed and continue to work on is a 3-step process. It checks how the person is appraising themselves. What do they say about themselves? How are you feeling? Very often they'll respond, I feel so stupid. Then you stop them and you say, what is the reality of the situation? And finally, the last thing we do is we explore what wisdom have we gained from this experience. That's just one of the things that we do to help that child not feel shunned and ashamed and left out and responsible when they're not. Another question that Indy had is, how can awareness about LAS help? Well, we work on this every day, and like I said, it took 30 years to get this far, and we're just really opening many doors. Powerful institutions don't think they're abusing in most cases. They have priorities that differ from parents, and the children are caught as the victims. They don't recognize individual needs and are not motivated in many cases to reach out and work with these children. Additionally, there are biases, lack of training, and ethical relativism where ethics slide to meet a budget or political pressure. It starts with giving a problem a name. In this case, I chose legal abuse syndrome, directly identifying the source of the problem and the public health consequences. What do I wish for you as the parents who are attending or listening to this today? First is to help your child deal with shame and guilt. Teach them it's not their fault or yours. It's a systems failure that must be addressed. Then we show them how we handle these things by working together for a just society. Sometimes authority must be challenged and laws changed. And loss of trust needs to be identified. Sometimes these children have lost trust in every adult. We need to help them get that back, and we need to help the adults earn it. This takes changes in policies and procedures stemming from laws and regulations. It takes advocates on hand to ensure those policies and laws are enforced. This takes skill, courage, and knowing the counseling steps that support the children and families through legal challenges will be applied and are available for them. There are 8 steps in the book, Legal Abuse Syndrome, that you will be looking at. We also emphasize that the stress-related injuries are a preventable public health problem that is costing the society in every way. Economically, the cost cannot be measured. A rich society is built upon a foundation of health, education, and opportunity. All must participate. Erosion of health and well-being done to families by homesteading is a burden to the budget in perpetuity. It simply cannot be sustained. And as I always say, and it is in the book, trust is a social staple. Without it, a culture does not thrive. We teach our online classes, very easy. They're 12 weeks, done in 6 sessions, and they're done any time of the day or night. They're online, automated. Cost is expensive. It's $9.98 plus the manual. It's certified by John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City, and I am the adjunct professor. I want to give you my email address if you have questions. It's legalabuse@gmail.com. My website is www.equalaccessadvocates.com. That is equalaccessadvocates.com. And I encourage you to stay in touch, contact me with any questions, and just understand how important your work is. These kinds of groups that get together and address a major problem, such as homesteading, make a difference. I watch it every day. And we literally overturned 4 Supreme Court decisions, getting persons with all different kinds of disabilities to descend on our legislatures. And it worked. So hang in there, stay in touch, and I hope to see you in the future.